Hello guys, welcome to Sissygram Genderbender Stories on YouTube. Today, I am bringing you a brand new genderbender story. If you like my voice, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates. Now, let's start the story. The shrill sound of the alarm pierced through the haze of sleep, forcing a groan as a hand reached out to silence it. Something felt wrong, but in the fog of early morning, it was hard to put a finger on exactly what. Slowly, blurry eyes blinked open, struggling to adjust to the soft, filtered light that was streaming through the curtains. The room, with its familiar posters on the walls and the cluttered desk in the corner, looked the same, yet there was a deep sense of unease that clung to the air. Something not quite right. Pulling the covers off revealed unfamiliar curves in places that should have had angles. Long strands of hair cascaded over slender shoulders. Panic flared as trembling fingers reached up to touch a face that seemed strange, softer features, fuller lips, and a jawline that no longer felt like her own. What the hell? The voice that came out was high-pitched, melodious in a way she had never heard from herself. She stumbled out of bed, her legs unsteady beneath her, and rushed to the mirror. The reflection staring back was nothing short of impossible. A girl, delicate features, chestnut hair flowing, and hazel eyes wide with shock and confusion. The thought flickered through her mind. This can't be real. I must be dreaming. But the reality felt too solid, too undeniable. A pinch, a slap, nothing changed. This was no dream. A wave of panic started to rise within her. Suddenly, the door burst open, and she rushed down the hallway, her voice urgent, frantic. "Mom, Dad, something's wrong." Concerned faces appeared in the doorway, then froze, their expressions quickly shifting into disbelief. "Alex, is that you?" Her mother's voice was barely a whisper. "Of course it's me," she stammered, her voice cracking with both frustration and fear. "But look at me. I'm a girl." Her father's face remained unreadable, as though he was still trying to grasp the enormity of the situation. "How is this possible? What's happening to me?" she asked, her voice trembling with desperation. Her parents exchanged a long, tense glance before her mother's voice softened. "We were hoping we'd have more time to explain, but I suppose there's no hiding it now. You should sit down, honey. There's a lot to tell you." For the next hour, the world seemed to shift out of focus as her parents unfolded an unbelievable story. They explained that a government experiment, an engineered virus designed to alter human biology, had inadvertently exposed her to its effects. "So, you're telling me that I've been infected with a virus? That makes me switch genders, and you knew about this?" Alex's voice cracked with a mix of disbelief and anger. Her father nodded solemnly. "We were monitoring the situation, but we never anticipated it happening this suddenly or this completely. We're so sorry, son." Poor daughter. The word daughter made her flinch. Don't say that. "I can't deal with this right now," she muttered, standing abruptly and fleeing upstairs. The bedroom door slammed shut behind her, and she collapsed onto the bed, silent tears streaming down her face as the magnitude of it all began to sink in. In an instant, everything had changed. Who was she now? A soft knock on the door interrupted her spiraling thoughts. "Alex, can I come in?" Her mother's voice was gentle. "Go away. I don't want to talk to anyone," she muttered, her voice muffled against the pillow. "I know this is overwhelming, but you don't have to face it alone. Please, let me help," her mother pleaded. After a long pause, a quiet whine signaled her reluctant surrender. Her mother sat down beside her, gently pushing the long strands of hair away from her face, a gesture that was both painfully familiar and jarringly unfamiliar. "I can't even imagine how overwhelming this must feel," her mother murmured, her voice filled with compassion. "But no matter what, you're still our child, and we love you unconditionally." Alex's voice trembled as she spoke into the pillow. How am I supposed to live like this? Everything's different. I don't even know who I am anymore. Her mother let out a heavy sigh. It won't be easy, but you're strong. There will be challenges, adjustments, but you'll find your way. The room fell silent, except for the occasional sniffle. What if I can't? Alex whispered, barely audible. Her mother's voice was soft but firm. Then we'll face it together as a family. You're not alone. As the hours passed, shock turned into a numb sort of acceptance. Alex avoided looking in mirrors, feeling uneasy with the unfamiliar reflection. Everything felt off balance. The body that once seemed so familiar now seemed alien, curves replacing angles. Clothes that once fit comfortably now hung awkwardly. Her father spent time on the phone, notifying the school about her condition and arranging for accommodations. Her mother stayed close, hovering with an anxious energy, unsure of how best to help. By evening, exhaustion had set in. Alex barely ate, too consumed by the anxiety of what the future held. Sleep came reluctantly, filled with uneasy dreams and swirling doubts. The following morning brought with it a new set of challenges. Simple tasks became a series of awkward struggles. The act of getting dressed felt foreign, uncomfortable, and embarrassing. Alex fumbled with unfamiliar undergarments, her face flushing as her mother gently offered assistance. We should probably go shopping soon, her mother suggested quietly. You need clothes that actually fit now. Alex dropped at the thought. Do we have to? Can't I just wear my old stuff? Her mother shook her head. Nothing you have will fit you anymore. We need to start fresh. The drive to school was filled with tension, only broken by the soft hum of the radio. Alex sat in silence, hands twisting nervously in her lap, unsure of what pronouns felt right. As they arrived at the school entrance, her mother reached over and squeezed her hand. The principal and your teachers know about everything. If anyone gives you trouble, don't hesitate to go to them. Alex nodded mutely, her throat tight with nerves. I love you. You've got this, her mother added. With a deep breath, Alex stepped out of the car, immediately feeling the weight of the curious stares and hushed whispers around her. She hurried to her locker, her hands shaking as she tried to remember the combination. Alex, is that really you? A familiar voice broke through the crowd of whispers. It was Maxim, her best friend, his eyes wide with shock. Yeah, it's me, man. What happened? Alex let out a short, humorless laugh. You could say that. It is a long story. Before she could explain further, the warning bell rang. I've got to get to class. I'll fill you in later. Okay. The day passed in a blur of awkward moments and uncomfortable interactions. Teachers stumbled over pronouns. Classmates stared openly. Alex felt like she was on display, hyper-aware of every whisper, every glance. By lunchtime, the stress was too much, and she sought refuge in a quiet corner of the library, where she fought back tears. Hey, are you okay? A voice interrupted her thoughts. She looked up to find Maya, a girl from her English class, watching her with concern. I'm fine, Alex muttered, quickly wiping her eyes. Maya sat beside her, offering a soft smile. It's Alex, right? I heard some of what happened. That must be really hard. Alex sighed deeply, her shoulders sagging as she let out all the confusion, fear, and frustration she had been holding in. To her surprise, Maya listened without judgment, offering quiet sympathy. I can't imagine how hard this must be, Maya said when Alex finally stopped. But for what it is worth, I think you're incredibly brave for coming to school and facing everyone. Alex blinked in surprise. You think so? Maya nodded. Absolutely. And if you ever need someone to talk to or need help with girls' stuff, I'm here for you. For the first time in days, Alex felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe she wasn't as alone as she'd feared. The weeks that followed were a steep learning curve. There were moments of frustration, but also unexpected joys. Shopping for a new wardrobe was humiliating at first, but Alex found herself drawn to softer fabrics, prettier colors, and styles she never would have considered before. Experimenting with different hairstyles became a fun distraction. Slowly, Alex began to settle into her new identity. Eventually, she decided to go by John, a name closer to her old one, but better suited to her new reality. Family dynamics shifted too. Her younger sister, who had once seemed distant, became an unexpected ally, offering skincare tips and fashion advice. School remained challenging, but John found support in surprising places, like Maya, who became a close friend. There were still tough days, but John also found moments of joy and self-discovery she had never imagined. One afternoon, as she stood in front of the mirror for the first time, really looking at herself, John felt something stir within her. The face staring back was both familiar and different, a little softer, with long lashes and bright eyes, a scattering of freckles across her nose. On a whim, she reached for the makeup kit Maya had given her, carefully applying mascara and a hint of blush. The result was subtle but transformative. For the first time, John felt a sense of pride in her reflection. "You look beautiful, honey." Her mother's voice came from the doorway. John turned to find her mother watching with pride in her eyes. "Thanks, Mom," John murmured. Her mother crossed the room, wrapping her in a tight, affectionate hug. "I'm so proud of you. You've handled all of this with such grace and strength." John leaned into the embrace, allowing herself a rare moment of vulnerability. "I couldn't have done it without you guys. I know this hasn't been easy for you either. We're family," her mother said softly. "We face challenges together." Then, as her mother gently brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, John had an idea. "Hey, Mom, do you think maybe we go get my ears pierced this weekend?" The smile that spread across her mother's face was all the answer she needed. In the months that followed, John embraced aspects of femininity she had never considered before, everything from makeup artistry to accessorizing. Though there were still moments of discomfort and disconnect, John found herself growing more comfortable in her skin. One crisp fall afternoon, as she flipped through college brochures with Maya, John was asked, "Have you thought about what you want to study?" John chewed her lip thoughtfully. "Before all this happened, I wanted to study engineering, but now I think I want to study biology and genetics, maybe medical research." Maya nodded approvingly. "That makes sense. You could help people going through something similar." The future, once so uncertain, now seemed full of possibilities. Then, one day, John's father entered her room, his expression serious. "Sky, can we talk for a minute?" After a brief conversation, he told her that researchers had developed a way to reverse the effects of the virus. John's heart raced. "You mean I could go back to being a boy?" Her father nodded slowly. "If that's what you want. The treatment is experimental, but early trials are promising. You'd be eligible to participate if you choose." John was torn. Part of her longed for the comfort of her old life, the life that seemed easier and more predictable, but another part of her had come to terms with her new self. She thought of the struggles she'd faced, but also the moments of joy and growth. She was no longer who she had been, but that didn't mean she regretted the journey. After much thought, John gathered her family together in the living room. With a deep breath, she made her decision. "I'm not going to take the treatment." Her mother stepped forward, wrapping her in a warm embrace. "We're so proud of you, sweetheart. No matter what," her father joined in, his voice thick with emotion. "As long as you're happy, that's all that matters to us." For the first time since everything had changed, John felt at peace. This was who she was meant to be, not because of a virus or an accident, but because she had found the strength to embrace the change. The future stretched out before her, full of potential, and John was ready to face it, fully and completely. This is where the story ends. I spend hours of effort creating these kinds of stories, so if you're new to this channel, please hit the like button and subscribe my Sissygram Genderbender Stories YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to comment on what you would do if you were in his place. I'm eagerly waiting for your comments, and I personally read all of them. Okay, guys, thanks for joining. And I'll see you in the next story in the next video. Take care and bye.